Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 11. This week, we'll continue to develop our information retrieval skills and focus more on learning about articles, periodicals, and databases. If these are new terms for you, it will be very important that you finish this week with a solid understanding of the relationship between articles, periodicals, and databases. As a library support staff, it's highly unlikely that you'll be asked to assist patrons with finding this kind of information, but it's still important for you as information professionals to have some background knowledge of this information source type. Reference librarians are usually responsible for helping patrons navigate databases and referring patrons to news and magazine publications that we also know as periodicals. Last week, we explored books using library catalogs and talked about the importance of getting to know your home library's collection. Similarly, it will be important for you to know whether a library subscribes to newspapers and magazines in print, electronically, both, or not at all. This means knowing where the periodicals collection is housed within your library and what the loan policy for these materials are. Some libraries, especially academic libraries, only provide access to newspaper, magazine, and academic journal articles electronically, right? So they may only provide the database access option versus having the print copies available in the building. At Cal State Dominguez Hills in Carson, California, the library transitioned from offering print versions of this material type to only offering the electronic versions via databases. This transition can be due to budgetary restrictions, but also has a lot to do with student access needs. When we think about students at the university looking to access information via articles, it may serve students best to offer articles online only. I can show you what this looks like on the Cal State Dominguez Hills Library website. Their library management system is called OneSearch. It's the same system we use at SAC. So I'm going to run a search for periodicals, right? Articles published in newspapers, magazines, and academic journals on mental health. I'm going to limit my search to the material type articles. And then I'm looking for a physical copy available in the library, but as you can see here, there are only online articles available. A university of this size will return over 3 million results on the topic of mental health, right? That is an accurate number, and it's because of the number of databases the library subscribes to, right? Which then contains journals and all of their accompanying articles. In this first result, the title of the article is Mental Health Literacy, Empowering the Community to Take Action. The author is Anthony F. Jorm, and the periodical where the article was published is called The American Psychologist. You'll then see the year of the publication, the volume and issue number, and then the pages. To access this article, you would click on the title, which opens up the record page and then displays the name of the database where this article is housed. In this case, it's EBSCO APA Psych Articles. When I click on the title of the database, I would be asked to authenticate as a student because most library databases require subscription fees, and that is not open to the general public. This is a little different to our collection at Santa Ana College because we still offer print versions of newspapers, magazines, and even some academic journals like the Journal of American Medical Association. So I'm going to run a similar search. I'm going to limit to physical copy in Neely Library. And then here I see that under journals, there are 3 journals that are available at the periodicals desk for 7-day loans. So we actually loan out academic journals from previous years to students through our library. I shared the differences in the holdings at Cal State Dominguez Hills and Neely Library to demonstrate how different libraries will have different collections based on the populations they serve. At SAC, it makes sense to us to hold on to physical copies of materials because some of our students are very new to research, and it is very supportive to be able to conceptualize information in a physical format first. Next, I think it's important to define articles and kind of break down the 3 major articles that we normally see in the public and used in scholarly research. First, just to provide a clear definition, an article is a piece of writing published within a periodical. Periodical is a fancy word for any publication that is published on a regular interval of time, right? It's published periodically. Newspapers, like the first 2 examples here, are published daily, right? That's a regular interval of time, and weekly when it comes to the Sunday paper. Magazines can be published weekly, monthly usually. And then our academic journals are often published quarterly, that's every 3 months, biannually, every 6 months, or annually. These intervals are really defined by how quickly a publication can actually produce information, and also what the process looks like for that information to be published. When it comes to a newspaper, the reporting is intended to be very straightforward and cover observable facts, right? That's what reporting does in newspapers. Because of that very straightforward, fact-based information style, you could call it, that's why you can get this done in a day. Magazines will provide a first level of analysis of the events that may be covered in a newspaper, right? So these are when we bring in some experts in a given field to help provide the first kind of in-depth look at something that may recently have happened. Our academic journals tend to take longer to publish, and that's because they employ what's called the peer review process. The peer review process is a process by which the editors of an academic journal assemble a team of experts in a given field to review these kinds of articles against the standards of research for a given field, right? The peer review process takes quite a bit of time, and so does the type of writing that you'll generally see in academic journals. Academic journals tend to be science-based. They use technical language that may be commonly known within a field, but not so much to the public. Because of this reason, the peer review journals are often referred to as scholarly journals that produce scholarly articles. On the other hand, newspapers and magazines are referred to as popular sources because they are accessible to the public, both in terms of the cost, where they can be purchased, and the kinds of language used, right? So those are considered popular sources. It's good to know the differences between these 2 kinds of articles because it can come up in your coursework in the future. It's also just to have a general understanding of these types of publications. Now that we've defined articles and periodicals, next we need to talk about databases. I'm going to click on Find Articles and eBooks on Neely Library's homepage to take us to our A to Z databases page. Neely Library subscribes to 38 databases. Larger colleges will subscribe to hundreds of databases, and universities like UCLA subscribe to 1,008 databases today when I checked. A database is an electronic collection of information made searchable by subject, creator, or title. Because we are able to take apart the periodicals and search for articles individually, this is why electronic versions of these materials often serve students' information needs a little bit better. I do want to demonstrate quickly the use of one of our library databases. I am going to choose Academic Search Complete. Academic Search Complete is one of the few multidisciplinary databases available to libraries. Other databases tend to be discipline specific. You'll see examples like American History and Life, the American Welding Society, Business Source Elite, right, and CINAHL, which is our nursing database. They usually are discipline specific. That helps support the collecting of journals within a particular discipline to be searched. Academic Search Complete is multidisciplinary and it's intended to support students in courses like English 101, Sociology 101, Psychology 101, introductory courses that could benefit from information that pulls from different disciplines. For example, if I was writing an English 101 paper on mental health and the immigrant community, I would put together some keywords like this, and I would find results for individual articles published in periodicals like Community Work and Family, Counseling Psychology Quarterly. When searching for articles in databases, sometimes the periodical can get kind of lost. It's not as visible as the title of the database and the title of the article, but it's important to remember that articles are not standalone sources of information. They're always published in a periodical that you can then access in a database. That's the relationship that I was hoping to convey to all of you today. Now let's talk about week 11 assignments. This week, instead of reading from your online textbook, you'll be completing an online workshop called Finding Articles. When you click on the assignment page, this will take you to a link that you can use to self-enroll into the workshop. Here's a link for Finding Articles. And when you click on Finding Articles on the online workshops page of the library website, it will take you to your Canvas where it gives you the option to enroll in the course. Enroll in the course and then go to the course, which will now be part of your Canvas account and you can find on your Canvas dashboard. Once you complete all of the modules and take each of the required quizzes, you'll then receive a certificate if you complete all of the quizzes with at least 80%. All I'm asking for this workshop is to screenshot a picture of your certificate of completion and then upload that onto the assignment page for our class. For this week's discussion, you'll consider the importance of offering different information source types in libraries. Books, for example, are great, but due to the amount of time it takes to research, prepare, publish, and acquire books, they may not be the most current source of information on important topics. Instead, books usually provide a broad historical perspective on issues and sociocultural phenomena. Different kinds of articles, like we just discussed, can provide information to the public as quickly as the day after an important event happens, right? And magazines provide the public with some level of analysis of these events. Scholarly articles published in academic journals will generate new information based on specialized studies that are included in most research articles, right? These different time frames for how different kinds of information are created are described as the information cycle, right? You'll be learning more about the information cycle through the video embedded in this week's discussion. That's pretty much it for week 11. You just have those 2 assignments. And then please pay some special mind to the coming up section for the collection analysis that is due week 12. This is a very prominent assignment in the course, and you'll see week 12 is also already open and ready for you to review. Please contact me via Canvas inbox if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a good week. Bye. Next, I think it's important to